Hey up guys, welcome to the channel. In this video I'm just be servicing mt10 diffs. I'm just going to basically just show what you need to undo to access them and a rough idea on what levels the diff should be at. Let's get started. Right, we'll get started doing the front differential first, because it's probably the easier the two differentials to get to. Start with, I'm going to undo the top bumper screws and the sway bar screw. Which are both 2mm. And then under the front centre bolt, and these two countersunk now. With those screws removed, you can just pull the front bumper away and release the anti-roll bar bush. It'll just pop out of place. You can put it back later. The differential cover screws are this one under the shock tower mount, and same the other side. Once you remove these, you'll be able to get access to the differential. Right, now with both these screws removed, the cover should pull straight off. And at this point you make a note of your orientation, because if you put the diff back in backwards you won't go anywhere quickly. Now what you are going to need to do is undo the drive shafts, which are these long grub screw pins. Which won't be very tight. Now I pull them out until I have the drive shaft off, and then I return them to the drive shaft, so then you're not trying to find them. Now with those screws removed, you need to get a handy dandy decent sized flat blade screwdriver and just twist and push the drive shaft off. Just like that, and the differential comes out. Now this will be getting new bearings after I've rebuilt it, but to say it's been abused for 18 months, don't feel too bad. Now once you've got your differential out, it's now a good opportunity to put screws back in the places you took them out of in the differential cover. You've got your two anti-roll bar screws, which are really short, and the two bumper screws, which are slightly longer. This just saves the wrong bolts being put in the wrong place. Now for the shortcut, if you don't want to take all of that off, you can just take the two differential screws out the back and the two long bumper screws, as well as your bumper mount and anti-roll bar, and it will just pull off. But just for clarity and ease of access, I just take the lot off. Now we're at the stage dismantling this differential. Pry the old bearings off so they're getting replaced. Now this is the one that you'll be putting 60,000 in. Again, it's a 1.5mm. Well, that's the differential apart. Be careful now removing that paper gasket, because they are a pain in the ass. What I'm going to do now, get some paper towel, start wiping off the excess grease from the outside. Before I take out the other parts of the differential. Because I'm doing a full fluid change, I'm going to put some paper down and grab the wrong pliers. Now I've got it all disassembled, I'm going to start wiping off all this old silicone. Now I'm making sure I keep everything separated into which side. Now once you've got your differential apart, what I do, some basic bike degreaser. Just give them a blitz, give it a second. Then just wipe it off. Now these planetaries have shims. Got to remember to put those back in when you disassemble it. I try and do one side at a time. That's the first set of planetaries almost cleaned down. You do the same thing with all the rest of them. Planetaries, your other two gear wheels, your shafts. Again, they've got O-rings and shims. Keep them separate, so then if there's any wear difference one to the other, you're not upsetting any bedding in. Now I'm just flushing that out with GT85 just to get into those little corners and get the last of the old oil out. Right, now it's all cleaned up, I'll just start reassembling it. Now you may have some difficulty getting the seal in. I had to put the seal in first before getting the shaft in. Now those silicone O-rings can be a pain to get in. It actually took me 16 attempts. I didn't bore you with to get them in to this half of the diff. That's that half put back together. Now we put a planetary in with a slot pointing up. Now's the time to put a little bit of fluid in. The second one goes notch down, which just slots in like that. Now the little bit of fluid we put in at the beginning has been squashed around the bottom gears. Now we're going to put a little bit more in. Give it a little turn. Just distributing the fluid and getting the gears in sync. Now you don't have to brim these gears, which I know a lot of people think if it's less than half full and you take the top gear off, it's not full, but you've removed a gear. You've got displacement to take into account. Now that is actually slightly overfilled, Because when you put the crown gear for the other side on, it does, and I don't make a mess, come around and gets pushed up. Now what I will do, put a small amount on the shim, so it rotates against the seat. I'll get your gasket on. Now you don't have any locating pegs, so get it together. So it's meshing, and just get aligned best you can. And without any pressure, just slip your gasket back if it's in the way of any of the holes, and get one of the bolts in. Doesn't have to be tight, just tight enough so you can put it down and get the other screw. Once you've got your screws in, start tightening on opposites. You've got your first bolt, so it's just snug. Second bolt opposite it, so it's just snug. Then repeat for 3 and 4. Once you've got them all snugged, that is when you'll go back and make sure they're all tight. But keeping to doing opposites. Then you don't introduce any squiffiness at the end. Right, now that's all tightened. That's the first diff done. Now 60,000, it will feel very stiff. Once you get back in the car, it'll work just fine. Now, while I'm at this stage, I'll break out the bearings. I'll put these two outer bearings in place. Replacing the two worn out stock ones, get the right ones. And there we have two new bearings fitted. I will return this to the car keeping the same orientation we had when we took it out. It's meshed, sat on the bearing seats. Now I'm just going to get a little bit general automotive grease, because it's what I've got to hand. Literally just replace some of what we removed. Now these aren't sealed differential cases, so there will be some dirt in there. This is just a demonstration, and I'll be going back over this before I run it and clean it all out properly. With the fresh grease in, you can now bearing cover back on, get the right way up. Now we can put the screws back in. I'm just doing this loose because I'm coming back through to clean that gear case out properly. I'm just doing it enough as to not lose the differential. Or misplace the screws. Now at the same time, I'm just going to pop the bumper back. On its bottom fixings, just so I don't lose the screws. This is just to stop it flopping around on the LED wires. Then onto the rear, two bolts holding the wheelie bar. Undo those two. On this, it's the outer two holes. That releases the bottom of the wheelie bar, and then you have two screws, top of the wheelie bar bracket, undo those, then same again, you've got the anti-roll bar, undo that, and then the gear case will come away. Now when you've got these fixings removed, it'll come loose. Now you need to do next is trace the wire for the LEDs and disconnect them, because they just get in the way when you take the centre diff off. Now again, to the lower two screws, them off, two drive shaft screws, that's the differential out. Now something to just be aware of while you're doing this, you could fall foul of Team Associated's poor quality fixings. If your Allen key starts stripping, go for a Torx or the Imperial equivalent, because I ended up having to use a Torx 8 to get the wheelie bar off, because the screws had just started to round. There we have the rear differential. Now once we've got this out, we're going to do a twofer. We're going to take the centre diff out, because it's only 4 more screws after this. Tell a lie, 6 more screws. Again, I've got this video to go back to, but make a note on the casing if you have to, of your orientation. Again, just as a temporary measure, put your screws back where they came from. Don't need to put the cover back because I need to get that. I'll be pulling that gear off, so I'll just put screws in holes. Now for the removal of the centre diff, it is those 2 large 3mm bolts. Now, I only ever advise using an impact for disassembly. For assembly, you can end up breaking something. That's 4 of the 6 screws out. And you have these 2 tiny ones, and you have to be careful when you put them back in because they will strip. Alright, just give it a little jiggle, it'll come apart. As you hold rear end, your centre differential and a load of dirt. I've got these 2 differentials ready for disassembly. I'm going to start by removing the bearings. Because they are shot. Now, to change the bearings on the main centre diff, it means a full disassembly. But again, I won't bore you with a full disassembly and cleaning. Right, I've cleaned and prepped both the centre and rear differentials. Now, just need the 3000 for the rear diff. Now this is so much thinner, you don't need to put it under the gears, it will flow quite freely around them. And with that, ever so slightly over full. So when that is put back together, that'll just seep a little bit. Now, centre diff, gives us 100,000. This stuff is like treacle. Put it in a little at a time and work it round. Because as it sits, that is still all above the planetary gears. It's not gone around yet. As it's turning, it's drawing it down into the bottom. So another squirt of treacle. Work it round. Throw it on the floor. It's getting to the point when it's almost full. It could be worth keeping your 100,000 upside down if you can, so you're not waiting for the treacle. Now I'm just putting some in between the planetaries. I'm going to call that full. Because it's that thick stuff, once it gets coated on the upper side, now unlike the rear differentials, this has locating lugs, so you get those lined up. Then it's for 2mm bolts. Now a fluid change could be worth doing every time you change your spare unless you go through spares on like a weekly or monthly basis. Then it'd just be uneconomical. Again, cinch down, opposites. Now tighten it properly. If I was installing it, now reinstallation, there is a little knack. Drive shaft first, and then your splines, which attach to the rear differential. Now I'll try again with the gasket in place. Get it all lined up. Get a screw in the gear, because with this oil being thinner, the gasket moves about too much. Two bolts, three, and number 4. Again, opposites. Now some of these bits of hardware I would change out if I'd have planned ahead, because there are 1 or 2 dodgy screws lurking. Right, now you're tight, do opposites, nip them up, and then that is diff fluids done. Again, you grease that up, put it in the orientation it came out, and connect your drive shafts back up, covers back on, and you're up and rolling again. I hope you find this video informative. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.